Vintage transistor radio repair. This was sent in by a viewer, and I don't mind doing some of these outside repairs. I'm definitely not soliciting it. I have more than enough. We're going to use a nice safe plastic knife here. That way we're, you know, there's no risk of any kind of personal damage here, so we're staying on the kindergarten tip. I'm definitely not soliciting it, but occasionally it's okay. I updated. Occasionally I get people contact me that want to donate and help fund this insanity. So in order to stay current and relevant, that's a real value, isn't it? That's gonna stop UPS from destroying it. I added 3 crypto addresses to the About tab on the channel page, and I think a lot of people have trouble and have no clue what the About page is and what information the channel About page contains on a YouTube channel. But let's see what we got here. We got a note. Now I believe this gentleman emailed me a shipping label, which is something that I pretty much insist upon. I mean, who voluntarily wants to go to the post office and wait in line? The radio is as I found it. All I did was wipe it down. The battery holder is corroded. I sanded it a little bit better so the battery would make better contact. I'm adding words to this. I noticed the antennas do not connect and the screws missing. On full volume, I can barely hear radio. When you're ready to return it, use the same box. I could not pre-print a return shipping label as it asked for a return date. I just email me when you're ready to return it and I will send you a USPS paid shipping label. That's what we want. I want to just be able to hand it to the postman and not deal with all of that. Okay, so what do we got here? Well, it's a Ross. AC/DC powered, AM/FM shortwave, around the world reception with Ross. 13 transistors. And let's see what it takes here. Got to be very gentle. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to bend this up because this material gets hard as hell. I'm going to remove the screws and lift this whole thing up as a unit. So let me get some tools. Wonder where this is made. Was made. So there we go. Now, in general, Sam's did not cover these in their transistor radio series. So, well, this one is nice because this one actually has a schematic here. Get this out of here, and I always like to zoom in on these real close because wow, that is small. You never know who might have one of these radios and want to repair it. God, that is so small. I need to get a magnifying glass to even give you an idea how small that is. Well, here's the audio amp. And we have This is one of those, I guess, transistor additive packages. Let's parallel, or is that like, no, those are just parallel. Yeah, base is connected. Yeah, those are just parallel. So let's parallel. And what is that right there? Is that like that's like a Darlington configuration, right? Like an emitter follower driving into a driver, isn't that? So this is one of those, let's just pack it with more transistors than, and there they are right there. The 4 output transistors. Okay, he said the screw was missing and the antenna wasn't connected to anything. So let's see. Well, I believe these probably connected to the antenna through the screw. So we need to, oh, we got 2 screws here. I mean, we got 2 antennas here, and both screws are missing from both antennas. Okay, no problem. We definitely have plenty of hardware here. Let me get these out. You usually have to take these out to get the chassis out of these style radios. So kind of the universal color for an FM antenna is a white wire. So green, I'm going to assume, is the shortwave antenna because it's going to this really coarse winding on here. These radios, I think, were made in Hong Kong, and they always have open capacitors. Always. And they're usually very difficult to work on with really crappy foil circuit boards, but when you get them working, they work okay. Like, look at that capacitor right there. It's the power transformer as your audio driver, your audio output transformer. Webcore had a radio branded like this that was made by Candle Radio. Okay, so I got the brilliant idea here. We'll take a picture of this garbage with the phone and then, blow it up. And looking at it through a magnifying glass, it is actually this bad. But, definitely this 5UF right here is suspect. This emitter bypass capacitor, that emitter bypass, any of these capacitors in the audio are just automatically suspect without even powering the radio up, which is maybe what I should do. Okay, here we go. Geez, dink! Let's do that again. Let's see if we can record that. Dink!
And that's it. Now they're IT pros. You can too. Go to my computer career.
Boy, what do you call that? Quiescent current? They just idle current draw, 30 milliamps. It's really 30 milliamps. Did this thing have some numbers on here? 6 volts adapter, 6 volts for 50 milli, 80 milliamps or 16, built-in 700 milliwatts. Okay, that seems like that's sucking a lot, but I guess when you got the kind of power that 4 output transistors deliver, you don't want to shy. You're not worried about shying on your current. So yeah, exactly. It's very quiet. Let me see. So the sensitivity is there. It's picking up a lot of stations. Let me put my ear on it, see if I can hear. I put my ear up against it, and it is picking up stations, although they sound kind of noisy and very, very weak. Like maybe there's an RF amp problem as well as the capacitor issue that we are having. I'm assuming it's a capacitor issue. Don't we always blame the capacitors? It doesn't look like we have many electrolytics here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, there's 5 right here, and then there's 1 down here. This one's the filter for the AC power. I'm not really sure we care about that. I think it's going to be used on batteries only. Probably doesn't have this weird plug that goes in here. So it looks like we got 6 electrolytics, and they're all kind of like crammed right here. Oh, there's one here. That's probably the AVC filter. So 7? That's not bad. So we got 2 speakers in here, and I don't quite understand their theory here, but you know, we have a larger one which would probably sound decent, and then we have a crappier one, smaller one that's not a tweeter. It's just probably the same frequency response as the bigger one. So what's even the point of putting it there? It's not going to add any fidelity. Yeah, I just whatever, gimmicks. I can hear the internet right now yelling at me. Would you just shut up and recap the damn thing? The Viagra's finally kicked in, and if you don't start changing capacitors right now, I'm going to go soft. Unfortunately, most of the capacitors, this is usually the way with these radios, they're all underneath the dial cord here. So probably not going to be able to recap this on video. So no recapping porn on this one, but let's try and prove it. So the center lead from the volume control is black. I better be touchy with that right now. And that wire comes over here to a capacitor. So I'm gonna just bridge this. I don't even know what I'm bridging to what. Stand by. What's interesting is, so bypassing that capacitor, and you can do this with any, you should use non-polarized because you don't know, but it doesn't matter just for a second. This is like a 47 microfarad. Nothing changes, and even if I jump the center of the volume control to ground, oh, it does kill it. Okay, so that's making no difference. I mean, you really want to diagnose this before you recap it, ideally. So that was that capacitor. Now maybe this one here is open, because there are no other capacitors that would really shut it up. The emitter bypass will reduce the volume but not do this where you barely hear it. So let me see, let me try and find that other capacitor.
A dangerous team playing the Brooklyn Nets, who are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. The Nets are trying to one seed. I think we as a Sixers.
Talk about the wrong way to do something. Okay, so let's see here. We got 3 turns around here. 1, 2, 3. We got 3 turns around here. So where they come together, we got 4 pieces stacked up, 4 pieces of string. Then this just comes around to there. This one comes around. This one, the spring looks like it's on top. That comes over here. This is pretty simple. We got to get this out of the way. You know, just bump that string with a soldering iron and you might as well just throw the thing in the trash. And that's exactly what I've done. I've just, yeah. So now the deal is to recap this section. So I believe this is, the black wire is the signal coming in. This is the first amplifier. This is the bypass for the first amplifier. This couples this transistor to these two. I believe this is the one that's open. And then these two are emitter bypass. So these are 30s. This is a 10 and these are 5s. 4.7 for the 5s. These are, who makes these? Kimmit. Kimmit. Oh, made in China. They're cheap. Seriously, like 10 minutes struggling just to get one out. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. You know, the leads are always bent over and then there's just solder globbed on top of everything. 53 picofarads. So check this one out. This one is a 10 and it's measuring 50 with an ESR of 9.5. Okay, so the 10 and the 4.7 are changed.
KNX 1070 News Radio.
Clear skies, mild temperatures, light winds, about 15 miles per hour. Tanque de la Entre suspiro y suspiro me encuentro el olvido, me está matando el querer.
See if we get anything on FM now.
Porque una ingrata, you were gonna leave me too soon.
Alright, so obviously this, not that one, the 5, this was 90% of the problem, or 99% of the problem, but I'm going to go ahead and recap the rest of it because I just can't handle the judgment that the internet will leverage against me for an incomplete recap job. Oh. This is the one off the volume control. It's measuring 4.3 microfarads at 10 ohms. And it is a half a microfarad. See, 0.5. So, you know, the skills come in when you can actually pinpoint the one capacitor that's causing the fault, not just recap. I mean, anybody can recap, but that's not what we're about here. We're about proper diagnosis and repair, which is not wholesale parts changing. We're going to do that because that's what the internet wants, and probably more than likely there's, you know, these capacitors are on their way out. But we did pinpoint it down to which one was causing the problem. That's what's important.
The Pentagon.
Yeah.
We having the beans, is that okay? Is it okay if I call you my pride of baby? I ain't no player.
Yeah, it's deaf. And I got both antennas hooked up, and I'm not sure the schematic makes any sense on what I see with the antennas.
In a homeless camp, but the fire department is.
These usually don't do anything on shortwave. For one thing, the tuning is way too coarse. I think it's WWV. That's not too bad. 10 megahertz. Yeah, dead on.
Sugar soda with all the decadent flavor of a delicious Dr. Pepper. New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Try one today. All the flavor you deserve without the sugar. Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
Hi, Tim Connell here of Connell Chevrolet, Costa Mesa. We're offering up to $16,250 in total savings off MSRP on every new 2021 Bolt EV in stock at ConnellChevrolet.com. Find new roads at Connell Chevrolet. Savings subject to eligibility of rebate qualifications.
Hey LA, this is Lara Scott, and there is no place like my LA. And to stay connected to everything that this.
Yeah, that's kind of a symptom of a bad RF amp when the antennas don't do anything. It's getting all the signal on the back side of the RF amp, not the front side. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that transformer is right there. That's not... I don't think that exists in here, and the antennas in here are not in parallel. There's two separate wires going to them. So, I'm not sure what's going on with the schematic. So I believe this resistor right here is this resistor right here. If you can see a resistor right there. And that would be on the output of the RF amp. The signal comes in here, goes through this, into this, then out from this into the converter. Autodyne. And yeah, it actually improves when I connect on there.
$1 billion is available to help more people pay for health insurance, no matter what your income. Couples could now pay $700 less every month. Single people could have comprehensive coverage for $1 a month. And a family of 4 could see lower price. Go to coveredca.com. The sooner you sign up, the more you save. Covered
I mean, you can't deny that.
To health insurance.
This is a test of the emergency alert system.
Hey, that was legit.
Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts recommend all the best products to get the job done right. Like 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil.
O'Reilly's is always a test of the emergency alert system.
All the supplies you need. 818
89.3 KPCC.
Okay, that sounds like K-Jazz.
vibrations can...
Yeah, look at... Oh yeah, huge difference with the clip leads on the output of the... Oh crap. Huge difference on the output of the RF amp, because the antennas do nothing. Oh, this is made in Japan, not Hong Kong. So sorry. So sorry. I better not go that route. I'm gonna pull the in.
Pages long, and the only parts that Professor Condon wrote were the summary and the recommendations and conclusion. Of them remained at the end unexplained. One of them was attributed to a mechanical device of unknown origin under intelligent control.
So I think I mentioned the RF amp transistor at the beginning of this. When it still had the bad capacitor in it, and you know, I've just seen that so many times on these radios where the FM RF amp transistor is bad, and I'm not sure why those fail, because they're not a high current consuming component by any means of the term. It might be a quarter to a half a milliamp, there's nothing there. But they do seem to fail a lot, and the symptom of it is when you move the FM antenna makes no difference because there's nothing getting through here. You know, it doesn't matter if you're injecting a signal here, it's being blocked at this bad transistor. So, you know, that transistor is in the absolute worst possible spot. It's under the dial indicator, it's under the string, it's under everything. So, you know, I'm almost tempted to just chop that thing off at the top and tack a new one on. You know, I risk doing more damage by screwing with trying to screw with it, you know, fix it. I don't think there's a resistor that could go bad or anything like that. Yeah, I question this. I measured the voltages on it. It's not going to be pretty. It's all. Do this. Okay, so one of these is going to be base, emitter, bend them over here. Get this out of here. Hey, this had gold leads. This thing would have been worth $1,000 on eBay. So we got base, emitter, case, and collector. So,
Welcome back to the New Yorker Radio Hour.
so that's obviously the emitter. We got to figure out which one is base. Measuring ohms from positive to these pins. This one is 0 ohms. So this is going to be the case. So that's sort of irrelevant. This one had 5 volts on it, so that's going to be the emitter. I should say negative 5 volts. This one had negative 2 volts on it, so that's going to be the base. And this one had, so if I jump, this should be the collector emitter. If I jump from here to here, I might try that. That should give us function from the antenna minus the gain of the transistor.
Wing, and she wanted to give me a private tour, and she takes me.
Okay, emitter, emitter, collector, base, ground, or the case. I should have that in the middle like that, huh? Emitter, collector, base, case. And I'm measuring the voltage between collector and base, and I got 2.1 volts there. That's more than enough for a silicon transistor. That voltage is derived by this voltage divider right here. Maybe the resistors went out of spec and burned the transistor up. I doubt it. That's highly unlikely, but I say we go silicon with a good high frequency silicon it has to be PNP though, doesn't it? High frequency silicon PNP transistor. This is a Russian KT3126. This is supposed to be good to 500 megahertz. So collector base emitter. So collector base emitter. Hard to do. But it does not seem to make happy. You know what, I might have this backwards because I can't read this. So I turn it around and it seems to work a little bit better. This is where some good test equipment would come in a screen room so you could actually see how much gain you're getting. I can't. Very difficult.
Dorothy Wickenden, the author of The Agitators, 3 friends who fought for abolition.
Let me just try it without it now. Let me see what the difference is.
Next time, take a Hilton Hall museum show.
Better performance without the transistor than with it. Yeah, I took another look at this, and yes, this is emitter over here. Emitter is on the antenna, so it's emitter base. Try and get that in the middle. Emitter base collector. I'm going to try a GT313. This is definitely my most used Russian transistor. This is a high frequency PNP. Okay, GT313, thank you very much, Russia. Where did it go? And I'm going to try and do this. This is not easy to do. And you can see this sucker has a date code of 08 on it. So now to try and, God, I hope this guy doesn't care what this looks like on the inside. Now to try and solder it in there.
Please help me. She was begging me to help her.
Barbara says she tried, but didn't have the legal authority to pull her out. Jacqueline was at the nursing home for just a month. At around 4 a.m. on February 16, 2017, staff found Jacqueline unresponsive. When paramedics arrived, she was in cardiac arrest. Her blood sugar level.
Significance than the color of his eyes, there will be war.
Check out iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Just to find a way to you.
I can't believe this is a new Justin Bieber track. I'm so let down. The quality has dropped off so much.
Southern California and are committed to compassionate and aggressive representation. So call us and tell us how the custody queens can help you. Call us at 1-800-419-7772.
The Custody Queens.
1-800-419-7772. You can count on us with the Custody Queens.
Look, staying healthy.
Just more than I could take.
Look, staying easy is healthy. Just do what we tell you.
Ay, ya quiero cambiar.
Is driving me to feel.
Initially, some bacteria when infected.
Me preguntan que si cura
Que nos prepara para pickup or next day delivery. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast.
Today I want to encourage you.
We started
DRE number 01521930. It was meant to be a rehabilitation center for troubled youth.
Anna has come to represent the tip of an iceberg of discovery into the abuse of children.
You know, it's not great. The FM selectivity is pretty bad. I mean, that Indian radio blows it away. But you know what? This was not a high-end radio when it was new. I mean, it's cool. It's usable on the stronger stations. Sensitivity's about what I would expect. You know, I kind of use K-Jazz as a...
nursing home. But CDPH still didn't suspend his license. They didn't do that.
You know, and you could tell...
I love my superwoman deep down in my heart. You see, she's the only one that can put a hand on my battery.
So you can see the antenna works now. Okay, I had to pull this back apart to glue the little piece of slide paper under the pointer, the dial indicator. I just use this. And you could see what I was talking about with that transistor. The transistor is there. The transistor, to get to the transistor, you'd have to remove everything. It's under the pulley. So you have to take everything off. And I'm not going to do that. It's fixed good. There's channel 6 with the antenna down a little bit. I think it seems to work better. you know, it needs to be, I don't know, aligned, but that transistor is probably a little bit different, so